So at the initial $375 asking price, is there any wiggle room to make this a deal?
So I do think there's an opportunity here.
I don't know if the numbers make sense.
Guys, so today we have a young investor with us, and we're going to hear all about a deal that you found. And this is super exciting because today is our first episode of our Land Shark program, where we are going to actually learn about your deal and decide whether or not our investment group, the Land Sharks, want to partner with you on making this dream a reality for you. So, Omar, who do we have with us today?
The next national wholesaler, Pierre.
Yes.
Nice. Welcome, Pierre.
Very nice to meet you guys.
So tell us what makes your deal worthy of the Land Shark team to invest in.
Absolutely. So I had a buddy of mine from Miami. He just closed a deal in Detroit, got the contract signed and everything, but he had a buyer pull out. So I have some pictures. I have stuff like that. I have some good numbers. If you guys are willing, we'll take a look at it right now. Sound good?
It does, but what's your interest in getting involved in, what do you want to do in real estate that made you even come across this?
So like I have family that was in real estate. You know,
Okay.
I work at a real estate company. I just, everything surrounding my life has been in real estate. I see it's one of the tried and true ways to build wealth. And
Okay.
that's something I want for me and my family. So it's no easier option, no better option.
Okay,
Awesome.
good.
Well, we would have to agree with you there. So,
Yeah.
so what exactly did you find? Tell us about it.
Right, so we found a single family in Detroit. There's some properties, some comparables that are listing at $600,000. We got it closed and signed a contract for $375,000. Now there is some work that needs to be done. We estimate about $100,000 worth of renovations, but afterwards I think it can be a nice property in a pretty decent area in
Now,
Detroit.
you said you got it closed already?
we got it signed. We got a
Got it
contract
signed.
so it's under contract.
So it's not closed yet. You just have a price confirmed with the seller.
Yes.
Okay.
Got it. So you have an agreement between the buyer and the seller, and it's under contract.
Yep. Oh, no.
Okay.
So we have a seller signed a contract that he is willing to let it go for $375,000. So
Right.
the same thing.
It's the same thing. Yeah. You just don't want to, you're not sure if you want to actually buy this property and do
Right.
it yourself, or you want to wholesale it to somebody.
Right.
Got it. So, Omar, what are the big questions that as investors we look at to determine, is this even worth it? Because he's telling you he's got it for $375. He's telling you the neighbor properties are selling for $6. Where are the numbers? What are your minimums? What do we need to think about?
Well, we'll get into the details once you tell us how you came across these numbers. But right off the bat, you're looking to wholesale this deal,
Yes.
right? Or are you considering rehabbing it as well?
So I was initially considering rehabbing it until I looked at how difficult it would be to maintain a project from this distance, because
Right.
we're in New Jersey, they're in Detroit. So once I found out that wasn't going to work, I was going to hand it off to somebody a little more capable.
Good. So, I mean, people refer to it as virtual wholesaling, right?
Right.
Being able to wholesale something out of state, remotely, wherever it may be.
Right.
So, in order to even get started, how did he come up with the $375 purchase price?
Right.
And you mentioned how much in repair costs?
100,000.
100,000.
So that puts you at $475.
Right.
So gross margins right there, if you hit your target at 600, is 125, right?
Right.
That's a good deal. But we have to verify if the numbers are accurate. It's a good deal. It's not a great deal because after closing costs, commissions, etc., it's not going to be the full 125. But let's go into the details of how you came across the deal, how you came across the numbers, and see what we could do.
Absolutely. So I can open up some of these pictures. We can take a look.
What age is the house?
The house, I believe, was built in 1917. I can tell you right now.
And has there been any updates at all?
Has there been any updates? I would like to say that it hasn't been updated in some time. Some of the pictures that we'll see, like there's some obvious work that needs to be done. Like it's move-in ready, but getting it into the comparable price ranges, it would require some work. So if we take a look at this drop box.
Now, is it occupied? Do the owners live there?
So the owner currently lives there. He's the one that's willing to sell, and he's ready to move. He lives there with his son.
So it's not vacant, which is good.
No.
It's not abandoned.
How'd you find the deal?
So a buddy of mine actually found it. So from Miami, he was just cold calling in the area, and he found somebody that was distressed, really needed to move. I believe it was his grandmother's house, and he inherited it.
Okay.
And he was letting his son stay there, but I think it's time to go.
That's a nice house.
It is a nice house, yeah.
It's beautiful. Wait till you see the comps. So if we scroll through, front door.
So it's an all brick colonial.
Yep.
Center Hall colonial, built in the early 1900s, you believe?
1917.
Okay.
I wish we could get that for $375 here.
Yeah, no, it's
Right.
not even close to what it would be in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's really nice.
It's like a mansion. And
Yeah.
how big is the property?
living space 4,400 square feet.
Okay. So
That seems like a lot.
it's a decent sized home, and that probably doesn't include the basement. I'm sure that house of that age does have one.
That does not look like
And
a 4,400 square foot house.
there's also an additional bedroom in the basement. So right now it's currently listed at 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, but there's an additional bedroom in the basement that upon a walkthrough, anyone would be able to see.
And this person has not put the house on the market, obviously.
No.
And your friend found it by cold calling. Do you think that they were eventually going to put it on the market and they just got lucky?
So I think they were eventually going to, I think that they were getting to the point of this is what we're going to do, and my buddy jumped in at the right time.
Okay. So I'm looking at the kitchen, and I definitely see areas that need improvement. I see the fly paper that's hanging off the ceiling. So I don't know what, there must be a lot of flies in that kitchen. I also see the light fixtures hanging off the ceiling, and definitely looks like the kitchen needs some work, Omar. What do you think?
Yeah. Kitchen needs to be updated. That light hanging also shows that the electricity hasn't been fully updated yet.
Oh yeah, it could be old, like knob
Yeah.
and tube wiring or something of that nature.
Yeah, and the ceiling doesn't look like sheetrock. I mean, if you have, let's see some other photos to see what the walls are like.
Let's see.
Yeah, so that's plaster, right?
Right.
Would you agree?
It definitely, from that age point, it should be plaster. And,
Yeah.
and I guess this is the dining room. It has some nice wood molding on it.
The thing about these changes, though, they're more cosmetic, though, aren't they? So electrical, I hear things about saying it's outdated because the lights are on the walls, because usually lights run over the top of
I mean, like
things.
a sconce.
A sconce.
That's what a wall light's called. Yeah, I don't think that. Well, that shows the date of a home because most people don't put them in today. But I don't know that that would really affect the value.
I mean, so I look at this and I see it looks like a popcorn ceiling. Not at some point there's something with that ceiling. It's not an updated ceiling. And there's one light that's kind of buried inside it.
Yeah,
So
I see that.
I would take that as electric hasn't been updated, and they ran that one light just to put a ceiling light in there. So if it's plaster and that ceiling is outdated, then I would assume that the electrical has to be updated,
Okay.
which is a significant upgrade.
So if we continue.
It's also bringing the house up to code. You know, people that
Yeah.
are going to spend $600,000 want to understand that they're buying something that isn't going to burn down on them the next
Yeah.
day.
So would you guys say this $100,000 renovation cost, does it sound accurate? Does it sound like something that is...
We need to learn more about the systems, I think.
Yeah, and I don't know if that house is actually 4,400 square foot. It doesn't look like it just based on the initial photos.
It looks bigger.
I think it looks smaller.
Really? I thought it looks
Interior
bigger.
square footage. That's it. 4,400 is huge.
I believe he got the numbers from old Zillow.
Look at that gorgeous bathroom. So right off the bat, the bathroom, it's got round toilet bowls instead of elongated. Those tiles are definitely from the 1970s. And then you can see on this picture, there's actually a hole in the door to the bathroom.
Yeah.
You know, but updating that, Omar, how much would a simple bathroom powder room renovation cost?
On the low end, you could get that done for $5,000.
There you go. So,
On the low end.
Okay.
and it's a tiny room. So new vanity, new toilet, new tiles, some paint, new door. There you go. Updated electric.
That panel does look updated. But just
panel looks
because the
updated.
panel is updated doesn't mean that the wires are run all throughout the house to bring updated lighting.
Right.
Yeah, so knob and tube is very dangerous today. That's when they separate
Yeah.
the different currents, I believe, out, and there's 2 wires running through to each outlet or receptacle. That is definitely a newer box, so I'd want to see if there was a permit pulled for that and try to understand if the outlets or the receptacles have actually had their new wire run. So that could be a costly procedure, but that right there, that's a huge improvement.
It is. It is. But the panel is updated. But again, the lighting in the house is not updated.
Right.
So, how many bedrooms does this house have?
4 listed because you can't list bedrooms in the basement.
Okay.
So 5 total, but 4 that can be officially listed.
And how many full baths, half baths?
3.
3 full.
Your
3. I
pictures.
believe.
Okay.
Wait, the half bath. I believe is 3.5 then, because I think the half bathroom is in the basement along
Okay.
with the kid.
Got it.
There you go. Water heater. Washer and dryer. Basement looks dry.
Positive.
Yeah, that's a positive.
Any more basement photos, or that was it?
I guess that was it.
Well, here you go. We got a nice garage with a jet ski and an above ground pool. So right off the bat, and I know Omar has experience in this area, above ground pools, do they add value to properties?
I don't think they add value.
So first thing you do is you kill that pool.
I mean, if it's nice, you can keep it, but it's not going to add. No one's going to pay a premium for it.
Makes sense.
I actually think most people don't like above ground pools, and I think it detracts from the value of the house.
It could be removed. So if
What
someone
would,
doesn't
like,
like it, they could remove it.
What would like a banker and appraiser say about something like that? Would they even factor that into? the
I
actual
don't think
value?
so.
No. If anything, they'll want you to get insurance on it.
So this is one of the bedrooms.
Yeah, so this doesn't look like a 4,400 square foot house, unless he counted this as space too. It just doesn't have this room sizes and the layout for it. So that's the first thing I would confirm, what the square footage is.
Right.
Love the bathroom. So that's an original tub. The floor there is not original. It almost looks like there's carpet on the floor and linoleum peel and stick tiles.
Yeah.
And then if you look to the right, there's a shower cabin, which I guess is also original to that era. So that definitely needs a new bathroom. Now, that bathroom's going to be more complicated, Omer. How much for that?
Just based on that one photo that shows that one angle, I mean, a typical bathroom can run, let's say, 12 to 15,000 for that.
Okay, so we had 5,000 for the other powder room. Let's just take this at 15,000. So right off the bat, we've got 20 grand just in 2 bathrooms. Okay, we know the electric's been quasi updated. So let's, for the sake of discussions, let's throw another 5 grand for electric. So now we're at 25 grand. What other pictures do you have for us?
So just going through these photos, how did you come up, or how did your friend come up with the $100,000 in renovations?
So that I like to say that he has some real estate experience.
Okay.
So maybe he went through and seen some things and came up with a number, but I couldn't tell you.
So did he give you any breakdown of repairs that he would consider doing?
So he just said more so updating, because the house is, again, in living condition. Things work. Now it's not aesthetically pleasing, but everything works. So he was just probably more than likely considering the bare minimum of things. And then...
So I have my answer on the deal already, but let's go through the photos.
Let's go through the looks like painting, a lot of painting work.
Paint all
Here's
throughout the
another bathroom.
Yeah.
And you can see some of the cracking on the walls.
That looks like a water leak. Unless that's some moisture issues.
Definitely. So that's another reno. So that's another, let's say 15. Front of the house looks like it's in great shape.
That's nice.
Floors look great. The fireplace looks great. Beautiful dining room. Some nice molding
This
on the
looks
walls.
like a different house altogether, these photos. So the first floor looks more updated than everything
So
else
I
you've seen.
believe these are the actual pictures from the listing when it was listed previously, and then the pictures that we got were of my buddy that physically went to the location.
When it was on the market previously, do you know what the asking price was?
I don't. Let's see if it's part of the...
That would help.
And I think this would sell on the market because it doesn't
house.
seem to be that it needs that much work.
Yeah.
And so, granted, it may not get the full value of a rehabbed house, but 440,000 in 2022.
Yes. Listed, I guess it didn't sell, and it was removed 3 months later.
That's crazy.
What about before that? I see something else on there.
Before that, in August the same year, it was also up for 4,400.
So in 2022, they tried to list it 3 times. They started at $499, dropped it to $450. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what's the final price? Stayed at $450.
Yeah.
All right, so that says a lot. I
Says
mean,
a lot.
the house didn't sell. He didn't get any reasonable offers when he listed at $450, and then for whatever reason, he agreed to sell it to your friend for $375. So why didn't he get $375 on the open market?
So I would assume that it's probably for the same reasons that you guys are listing.
It needs updating.
It needs a lot of updating. So I think somebody's gonna have to take that risk to buy it, rehab it, bring it back to life, and then sell it and actually be a house worth living in.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would interpret that as there's investors in that local market too, right? So when a house like this comes up, you and I will go look at it and figure out if it's listed at $450, we can offer $375 for it because it's been sitting on the market for the full year. But apparently no one did that. We can assume no one did that because he didn't accept that price.
Right.
Which doesn't make sense because the country today, all the real estate markets for residential are most of them are hot, and this looks like a great area based on the type of house that's here. So did you do research on the neighborhood to see what's selling?
So this is a good. So again, in the neighborhood, we have some comparables that are that have recently sold for 600. So we're a little north of 600. Nice, bustling suburb neighborhood, right? There's good public transportation to get within the downtown of Detroit. Aretha Franklin's childhood home is down the block. I don't know if that matters to anyone.
Okay.
But no, it seems like
RESPECT. Respect.
it seems like a nice place to live.
Okay. And I see it says 4,400 square foot on there too, right? But
Yeah,
it
so-
says 5 beds, 5 baths. So they
So I
include
guess
the basement
they included
as
the
square
basement.
footage.
Yes.
Which typically, at least in New Jersey, we don't do that.
Yeah, I think it looks like a big house. I think the pictures don't do it justice.
So again,
How do we make money off this?
at the initial 375 asking price, is there any wiggle room to make this a deal?
I wouldn't rehab this.
You want to rehab it?
No.
So you buy it and sell it.
I would consider wholesaling it. But to rehab it means we have to buy it first, hold it, fix it, assume that the rehab. There's 2 ways to look at it. We have to look at what type of comps you found at 600, right? And what type of finishes it have, because if you can just do a light renovation on this, update
Right.
the bathrooms where it needs to be updated, and keep the budget under 100, it may be a deal.
Right.
But what do the comps suggest? What can someone else buy for 600 if this house went on the market, right?
That's a great question.
So I would look at the condition of the comps, compare that to what this house would look like, and determine if that's an exact price or not.
So how would you do that from a ways away? So all the way
So
in
that's
New
the
Jersey.
challenge of virtual wholesaling, right? But in today's
Right.
world, everything's online. So I would just look up this. This looks like it's in a nice neighborhood with
Yes.
similar homes. So look up similar square footage.
So I actually have a list of some comps
Good.
already.
So ideally, you want to be 1 mile within the radius of that house.
Yes. So
Similar bedrooms, baths, square footage, and condition, right?
Yep. So they're all kind of within this block, within this area, in this little map. We take a look. Let's go ahead and take a look at this first.
Sold for $820,
So for 620.
620,
620.
and you're getting this right off Zillow.
Right off Zillow.
All right, so that's a nice house, really nice house. 3,900 square foot, 5
Right.
beds, 3 baths. Looks
Price
Sold on
Right.
October 23rd of October of
sold
2023.
real quick too, right when I hit the market. Let's look at the description that the agent or seller put on. Meticulously restored. So there's no photos, but it is updated.
Well,
Yes.
the word meticulous is pretty.
Meticulous,
Serious.
Yes.
yeah, restored and renovated, and the outside looks like it's fully new windows, new porch, new door.
So upon talking to my buddy, because I pitched to a different investor and he had a similar quarrel of not seeing what the inners of the comparables look like, he can confirm that all of them were renovated. So that 600,000 was completely ARV, like they were not in the condition that
Okay.
the property that we're in.
Got it.
Let me ask, for the person that actually is living in that house, in order to make it a deal, the only way we could do that is for them to accept less money. Other than that, that house is just going to be a rundown, disheveled house in Detroit suburbs forever. Unless that owner decides he's willing to take some less money in order to make it a deal
Yeah.
appealing to other people. That's the only way it's going to work.
Well, it looks like you got him to decide because he took the 375.
Took the 375. So if at 375 I have this person locked in, the comps are going for 600. There's not too much wiggle room after renovation. What can I do in order to make this, if I can force this deal to be a deal? What could I do?
I think that I would probably put ads out on Facebook in that local area and see if you can get a buyer who's a user who will actually pay you a couple $1,000, $10,000, $20,000 more to take over the contract. Because I think it's based on the photos of the other homes, it's a specific area. There should be a lot of people that want to go in there and be there. I think that the property, given that we're based in New Jersey and we don't have any local boots on the ground in that area, it's not something that we would get into because we like to be hands-on. And definitely if this is your first flip project, it's not something that you can do from a distance.
What do you think my next step of this?
Hold on, it's Omar's turn.
Let me give you my feedback on it. So, just based on the info you gave us, the overview, right? You have a wholesaler that found a seller out of state
Yeah.
on a property that was listed for a full year in a hot market, 2022. Interest rates were still really low. This house didn't sell. No other investor came in to pick it up. No one else offered 375, I'm going to assume at the time. But your wholesaler out of state saw this and said, hey, I think it's a good deal. So I'm going to get him locked in at a price of 375 and hopefully I could do something. That's what a wholesaler does. So I think that wholesaler miscalculated entirely and this just isn't a deal. So in order for you to wholesale or make something, no deal.
No deal.
But in order for you to make something out of this, you have to have a margin where you could up the price. But if the seller wants 375, what are you going to market? What will be your markup?
My markup, if the seller, so the seller wanting 375 includes the markup already.
So you didn't include that. So
It
what's
includes
the markup?
So the markup is 25.
So the seller wants 350.
Yes.
So you're under contract for 350?
Yes.
So you lied to us here today.
Maybe.
Left out a minor detail.
So I would definitely put it on the market for 399 and through some kind of channel out there and see what you get. Or now you like it?
No, I don't. I don't like
didn't
it.
think so. It's still not local.
It's not a deal because in order for you to wholesale it, you need to sell it for 375 then.
Right.
Yeah, but you don't think he'll get 375? It was listed for 449.
For a full year, when interest rates were extremely low.
Okay, but
And
there's also
nobody
less
came in.
houses on the market now.
There wasn't that much inventory even then.
True.
So if something's listed and spending days and months on the market, someone's going to come across and offer 400 for it, right? But apparently nobody did on this house. So even at 350, let's say you make $5,000 off, it's really not worth your time at that point. But let's assume you even do that. You have to find a buyer willing to pay $355 for this.
And there's probably a secret issue that you don't know about. So now that you have it locked up, I would definitely reach out to the listing agent who had it on the market and just say, hey, I know you're up this property. We're under contract and we're thinking of hiring someone to flip it for us. And you're local in the market. What were your issues when you tried to sell it last time? And maybe she can help you. Maybe
That's
she has a
good option.
buyer.
That's a good option.
Do you think that they'll help? Like,
Why
do you think
wouldn't they
somebody
help?
would actually? I don't know. Sometimes
You're
things are not
giving the
worth your time.
caveat of you're looking for a local rep to help you sell it.
Oh, so that
So
means
she's
she'll
gonna
get
make
some
money.
coins
You
out
mean
of
the
it.
local rep who listed it or
Yeah.
somebody else? Well, she might just reach back out to the seller at that point.
But,
Yeah.
but you're telling her they're under contract, they're protected.
Yeah, but I as a wholesaler, I wouldn't do that because a wholesaler's contract is not ironclad, right? They could break it, and then what are you going to do?
That was my concern of like trying to reach out to or trying to get like local investors.
How
in,
much
is that-
time do you have in your contract?
How much time do I have on my contract? That I'm not sure of.
Okay, well, we need to know that.
Yeah.
If you have like 3 or 4 or 5 months, then I think you could definitely reach out.
But that's if he got the seller to agree to allow him 3 to 4, 5 months to sell the house. That's odd too. He probably has 30
You
days.
never know.
Yeah.
We don't have answers to a lot of questions here today.
Yeah. So ideally, you want the seller would give you 30, 45 days, maybe 60 days to close on it, especially if you tell him that I'm buying the house at this price, right? So he's not. I don't think he'll give you 6 months, but that'd be a very rare case. But even with that said, if his price is 350, it just brings us back to how do you make a margin on this?
All right, deal or no deal?
I think based on the information we have, I would say no deal.
No deal, agreed. Get more information, come back to us.
Well, no, I think he has all the information. Hold on, he has all the
He
information.
doesn't have all the
does.
information. Doesn't have the pictures. He doesn't know the details of the interior of the property.
But even if we have all of those pictures, it's still not a deal. Where's the margin?
So
So
what
let me
would-
ask you this: as a
yes.
wholesaler, what's the minimum you would be okay with making on this
The
deal?
minimum is 10. There's no.
10 grand.
Yeah, I'm putting the leg room in and all that. I'd have to make.
So that
10.
means that you have to sell the house for 360, right? Can you find somebody locally who's willing to buy the house as is at 360 is a question.
that is a great question.
And then the other thing is the seller.
I think he could.
If he's willing to sell for 350 now, why didn't he just put it on the market? We don't have to know that answer, but it's a question to ask, right? Sometimes you don't have all the information from the seller. Maybe the circumstance changed.
Yeah, exactly. It's a question to try to understand.
Right.
Things do change. You know, people one day don't want to do something and the next day they do. So that doesn't mean that it can't be possible. It's just, as Omar says, you need to try to understand why he didn't do that.
Yeah. But with that said, this is a great first deal to analyze. And the way you
Absolutely.
came across it, it's out of state. I think you have enough pieces put together now, right?
Right.
To understand how to get an overview based on just real accessible tools like Zillow.
So my last question: what would you guys do with a property like this? Would you just out of sight, out of mind, completely forget about it? Would you try to work through some issues? Like, what would you do? What would be your next step with a property like this?
I would tell the wholesaler, send me deals that make sense.
So you're the wholesaler in this case. So I would actually go and try to find people looking for an off-market house in that Detroit area. It's worth a shot. You have nothing to lose. You already have it under contract. So that's what I would do.
Absolutely.
This is a hotel.
wholetailing. What's wholetailing?
Wholesaling, yeah. So you know how this wholesaling and then retail, right? So when you wholesale, you typically sell it to an investor, a cash buyer, someone who's willing to do something else with the property, like fix it, sell it. When you hotel it, you're working with a retail buyer who may want to live there.
Right.
Now this works for homes that don't need a full gut renovation. This house looks like it's in moving condition, it's occupied. So you could find someone who wants to get into this neighborhood at a low price and doesn't need a fully updated house.
Right.
Now, in order for you to do that, wholesaling becomes more complicated. There's a different financing and things involved, but that's a separate conversation.
Hotel. Well, I think that this is a great start for you. This is your first deal. Everybody should have the foresight to actually go and look for stuff. So keep it up. Keep finding it. It may take you 10 deals to get there, but you will get one.
Yeah.
So keep up the good work. Go find more deals.
Now,
Nice.
you went out of state to find your first deal. The first deal I came across, it was in a weird city in New Jersey I never heard of. I didn't know what I was looking at, how to analyze deals, but you put together a lot of information, so this is a great start.
Yes. You didn't know if you were hoeing or tailing.
I had no idea. I was happy to just go see the house.
Thanks for watching this episode. Now don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment, and we'll see you next time.